Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatihira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jayo Radhamadavo Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatihira Vanachari. Jaiho Radhamadavo Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radhamadavo Kunja Vihari. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Good morning. Welcome. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 10th chapter, text number 14, and the chapter is entitled Divisions of the Creation. Sargo Nava Vidastasya. Sargo Nava Vidastasya. Prakrito Vaikritastu Yaha. Prakrito Vaikritastu Yaha. Kala Dravya Gunairasya. Kala Dravya Gunairasya. Trividha Pratisankramaha. Trividha Pratisankramaha. Sargo Nava Vidastasya. Prakrito Vaikritastu Yaha. Kala Dravya Gunairasya. Trividha Pratisankramaha. Dravya Gunairasya Matajis, ladies. Yastasya Bhakto Vaikritastuyaha Dravya Gunairasya Sargaha, creation, Navavida, of 9 different kinds. Tasya, its, Prakritaha, material, Vaikritaha, by the modes of material nature. Tu, but, Yaha, that which, Kala, eternal time, Dravya, matter, Gunai, qualities, Asya, its, Trivida, 3 kinds, Pratisankramaha, annihilations. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There are 9 different kinds of creation besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interaction of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements and the quality of one's work. Purport. The scheduled creations and annihilations take place in terms of the Supreme Will. There are other creations due to interactions of material elements which take place by the intelligence of Brahma. Later this will be more explicitly explained. At present, only preliminary information is given. The 3 kinds of annihilation are: number 1, due to the scheduled time of the annihilation of the entire universe. Number 2, due to a fire which emanates from the mouth of Ananta. And number 3, due to one's qualitative actions and reactions. Sargo navavidastasya prakrito vaikritastuyaha kala dravya gunairasya trivida pratisankramaha. There are 9 different kinds of creations besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interaction of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements and the quality of one's work. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kedam Hayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We have with us today a very important speaker, His Grace Navin Nirad Prabhu here. So Navin Nirad Prabhu often comes to our Radha Gopinath temple, stays here every year, gives Bhagavatam class. We never formally introduce him because he is part of our family. But today is a very special event. As we all know, Navin Nirad Prabhu has been very dynamically preaching all over the world, especially leading book distribution. We know him, book distribution has expanded and explored all over the world with thousands and thousands of literatures going. But there are only few devotees who go out on the street, one-to-one book distribution, and not just go out, but actually make a big book distribution score there. So one of them is His Grace Navin Nirad Prabhu, known for his wonderful strategies in the way he approaches people and give them Prabhupada books. And for him, his book distribution is, you give him any country, any place, any state, any people, and he will distribute Srila Prabhupada books to all of them. So Prabhu has been traveling all over the world, especially Europe, America, North America, South America. He also goes to Africa also. So all over the world, devotees call him and he trains them in one-to-one book distribution. So after so many years of dedicated service to Srila Prabhupada, so finally devotees urge him to write some of his realization in form of book. So he has written recently a beautiful book which is published by the Euro BBT, Sankirtan Amrit, where he also recently in Radha Gopinath's our Govardhan Yatra, he was also there and he distributed his book there on the stall. So today, apart from giving his Bhagavatam class, he will also share his wonderful realizations on his book, Sankirtan Amrit. And then after the class, devotees are requested to kindly come forward and take book from him. So that will be how we reciprocate with his wonderful service to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu, for coming here.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Baladev Prabhu. We chanted Om Jnana-timirandasya? Yes? No? Yes? None. Okay. So here in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya about the creation. And you may wonder, they're both great devotees. They both have a lot of love for Krishna. Why are they talking about the creation of the universe and the different species and life forms? Because they're great devotees, because they have a lot of compassion for all living entities. So they understand that there are people who are interested in the Virat Rupa. You know Virat Rupa? Nature? Do you see people who are going to the beach? They still do that? I saw them this morning. 5 o'clock, they're out there, walking on the beach, waiting for the sun to come up, right? So people are interested in nature, but if you tell them, come to the temple, what do they say? The temple is everywhere, right? I'm already there. Oh, not so much time, not so much interest right now. But if you talk about nature, if you talk about the elements and Sristi, Stiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti Rekha, the creation, the maintenance, the destruction, they get very excited about that. So, they're giving this information so that people have a frame of reference and they can see that this type of knowledge also exists in the Bhagavatam. It's not only speaking about the highest topics of pure love of God, but it is also meeting people on whichever level they're at and gradually elevating them to a higher state of consciousness. So this is the preliminary discussion, the 10 different types of creation of Lord Brahma, which is already the secondary creation. First was the Lord providing all the ingredients, setting the scene, putting everything at disposal. And then Brahma, he created the sages, he created the demigods, he created so many other life forms, and that is considered the secondary creation. And here we also hear about the 3 different types of destruction. Like destruction that happens by Kala, by time. Kalosmi, I am time, the destroyer of all the worlds. There's only one thing constant in this world, and it is change. Just like I come here every now and so often, and I see a lot of construction every time. And you wonder like, oh, what happened, you know? Have you noticed? Huh? What happened to that nice, room or to that thing or that? So there's only one thing, a constant, that is constant change. And everything that's created at some point, it will again be destroyed. And also, there is the annihilation of the material elements and the quality of one's work by the living entity, because the jiva is engaged in work, and thus we are creating and destroying things according to our limited capacity. We can't really do that much. On a bigger scope, we're not capable of doing that. But every jiva has a little bit of ability to create and also to destroy. Have you seen bees who make a beehive? Have you seen these big beehives on trees? Looks pretty amazing, isn't it? It's like, wow, these little guys, they made that big thing. And all of a sudden, one fine day, they're gone. They went somewhere else, and they create a beehive somewhere else. So, everything in this world is temporary, Lord Brahma, when he was engaged in this process of creation, there were some obstacles, there were some challenges, and he sometimes had to give up his mentality because he ran into some difficulties, and he had to give up that idea or that obsession that was part of that idea. Have you had experience like that in your life? That you were obsessed in creating something or doing something, and then you realized this is not going to work out, and you had to let it go? It's a daily affair, right? You have a plan, and Krishna has a plan. Let's see who wins. Huh? So, it is always very edifying to come here to Radha Gopinath Mandir, the temple that houses so many sadhus, so many authors, so many cooks, so many great speakers. And I feel, Hare Krishna Prabhu, and I feel humbled and very grateful to be allowed in this August assembly, in this association. Recently I visited Satsvarup Maharaj in upstate New York, and we were talking about writing because, as Baladev Prabhu mentioned, after 40 years, I sat down and wrote down a few things, and BBT published it. But it took 5 years from the point when I wrote it till the point it was printed. And I was sharing my struggle with Maharaj, my struggle with editors, my struggle with, people changing what you're trying to say or trying to make it better, but then it doesn't sound like you. And he said, look, I have published 200 books. Maharaj has written 200 books, and they're widely distributed all throughout the world. Like Prabhupada Lilamrita and different memories and different very wonderful books. And then he was laughing. He said, I published 200 books, and you can't even publish one book. And he was laughing heartily. And I felt purified. I felt relieved of my anxiety that, hey, I have to publish a book. Because what's the point? What's the point? There's thousands of books that are coming out every single day. But Srila Prabhupada wrote that as devotees, you should write, but for self-purification, not to make a name or to achieve any ulterior objective, but to glorify Krishna and to bring people closer to the path of bhakti. So then writing is encouraged. It's actually our tradition to write about Krishna. Now, some people are journaling, other people's writing poetry, other people's are writing prayers, or their own story. So, some of that mentality of creation, because in creation there is passion involved. Have you noticed? When you try to create something, there has to be a bit of passion, right? But then haste makes waste, right? You go into something and you realize it's not working. Okay, let it go. Okay, try this. Doesn't work, doesn't work, doesn't work. So I had to give up quite different types of mentalities while going through these stages. So it was quite purifying. It was an edifying process. And I'm glad I went through it. At the same time, I have deep respect for all the authors, writers, and editors and publishers out there, because I do not envy their service. If you want to go out and distribute Prabhupada's books, it is so easy. It is so easy. All you have to do is pick up the book, go out there, and talk to people. And people are very open to receive it. But the process of writing, editing, publishing is very tedious. Shakespeare once said that I spent the entire morning to put one comma, and I spent the entire afternoon to take that comma away. So, yesterday I came from Tirupati to Mumbai, and in Tirupati we had wonderful darshan of Balaji. By the way, remind me, I brought some Balaji Prasad. So in case you want to escape early, don't miss out on Balaji Prasad. And I was able to witness the devotees who are distributing Prabhupada's books all over Tirumala. They have book tables. And people are going for darshan, and then they have darshan again by seeing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And they get very excited to see that the Lord's teaching is available in their language. And that's quite an achievement, that's quite a feat. Srila Prabhupada's books have been published in 80 plus languages. And that is extraordinary. That is a miracle in and of itself. Tadvag visarga janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadavapyapi namanyanantasya yashon kintaniyat shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sarava. This shloka is right there in the beginning of every volume of the Bhagavatam, in the preface. And to give you the literal translation, on the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a transcendental creation meant for bringing about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Om Tat Sat. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So this verse actually predicts Srila Prabhupada's appearance, because Srila Prabhupada was translating from one foreign language to another foreign language. Srila Prabhupada's mother tongue was Bengali, but he translated from Sanskrit into English, which is not so easy. Have you ever tried to translate from one foreign language to another foreign language? And you can't do literal translation. You have to actually understand, first of all, the topic, and then you have to understand the language and all its intricacies. It's quite complex. You have to actually meditate deeply and assimilate and apply the knowledge, and then you can convey it in your own words. And that is what Srila Prabhupada did. And that's why these books are so much appreciated by scholars, by practitioners, by laymen, by professors. A friend of mine, Narayan Pandit, he's from Croatia, but he was serving in Shanghai, China. He went to the Shanghai train station, 33 million people, biggest train station in the world. Dadar station is just like a Borivali, or, like a small place. So many people go through that train station. And he got arrested countless times and interrogated. What are you doing here? And he said, I have a Chinese wife. I have children. I have to make money. And they say, where you got the books? He said, I bought them on the market. I have to make money. I have a wife. And they said, okay, get lost, but don't do it again. One man came up to him and said, what are you trying to do, sir? And he said, China had such a great culture. They had so much arts and spirituality and philosophy. And now everyone's crazy about money and politics. And he said, how do you want to change that? He said, by putting one of these books, one of these encyclopedias, Srimad Bhagavatam, into every university of the country. He said, show me these books. So he took a book, and he, for quite some time, was going through the book. And he said, okay, I will help you. I will help you. And he handed him a bag of cash. He gave him 500 crore. And he said, I sponsor 100 sets. And then Narayan Pandit, he placed the books in the libraries of the universities, and he took pictures of the professors and of the students and favorable reviews and shipping receipts. And so that man was so touched by his accountability, his transparency, that he said, another 100 sets for Taiwan, another 100 sets for Hong Kong, he sponsored 800 sets. He gave 4 crores. So if you wonder how you're going to distribute 5 lakh of Bhagavad Gitas, all you have to do is you have to meet one man, one person that gets inspired by your great idea. Money is not the problem. People are building skyscrapers and doing so many things. Money is not the problem. But you have to have that great idea. What is that great idea? Viplava. spiritual revolution, cultural conquest. I just came from Ukraine. You heard of Ukraine? Yeah? It's bombastic. There's a lot of bombs going on there. When I was in Dnepropetrovsk, that's 200 kilometers, just like 3 hours from the front line. One factory exploded, got hit by a bomb 300 meters from the temple. 300 meters, that's like from here to Chowpatty Beach. So the devotees are going out, doing Harinam, distributing books, distributing 20,000 meals every day. No foreign support practically, all local, organized. And they're risking their lives. Every man between 20 and 65, if you don't have 3 children or more, you're forcibly drafted and thrown in the front lines. But they came out on Harinam, they came out on book distribution, fearless. So what is our difficulty? Too much prasad? Too much ecstasy? Too much bhava? So, I was standing with another devotee at the train station to go from Dnepropetrovsk to Odessa, taking the night train, and groups of soldiers were there, going back to the war. And one group came up to us, and they looked at us, and they took out their wallets, and they started giving us money. And they were asking us for blessings, for protection, and they were receiving books and prasadam. Now they're from a different culture, they're from a different tradition. But they recognized there's something here that requires attention. There's something here that requires appreciation. Now I was impressed. I was like, how much appreciation do I have? How much do I take this culture for granted? You only cherish something once you miss it. I met a young couple in Kiev on the street, and they said, we were living with devotees. We had a Bhagavad Gita, but we lost it. They had 2 young children. They were struggling. They were poor. They really wanted the Bhagavad Gita. They were frantically looking through all their possessions and giving me whatever coins they had. And I gave them the Bhagavad Gita. I would have given it for free. They paid with their sincerity. So there's different ways of reciprocation. It's not stereotype. These books can travel. They can go places we cannot go. One of my dear friends, Sarvatma Prabhu, he joined in Brazil, but he's from Argentina. He went to the American embassy in Buenos Aires to get his visa for the United States because his guru was sick and he was supposed to go and help him. Did you ever go to any of those embassies? Some of you had the experience. So he went there in pant and shirt and he got rejected. They said no. The next day he came back in dhoti and kurta and he said, I demand to speak to the ambassador. So the lady came. She was surprised why somebody calls for her. He said, yesterday, one of your less intelligent bureaucrats rejected my visa. Quite bold as an opening statement, right? Little did he know that I'm not going to there for work. I'm going to there to serve my Gurudev. In our tradition, pleasing the Guru is the most important thing to do. And I can help him. I did it before. I can nurse him back to health. So that's why I'm going. So she said, so you're not going to get a job and just disappear like all the others? And he said, no, we're missionaries. We always come and go. We constantly travel. So she paused for a while. And then she said, okay, I give you the visa. And as she got up from the table, she leaned forward. And you have to understand, there's secretaries, there's military, there's the Marines. She's the top dog. She's the top American in the country. So she said, under her breath, I read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Now the books can go places. Can you talk to the American ambassador to Mumbai or to Delhi? Can you meet him? No. But Prabhupada can. He can. Because he stayed up every night for a few hours and translated these books. And he inspired devotees to distribute them all over the world. So Prabhupada can go. He's talking to the whole world. He recorded the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita just speaking to the 4 walls. There was nobody there. It was just him talking to the dictaphone. But Prabhupada is the spiritual master of the galaxy, of the universe. So he's talking to the universe. Is that what you feel when you're reading Prabhupada's books? Does that resonate with you? Do you feel the same? You have a problem. Do you ever have problems? No. You're in Mumbai, right? There is no problems. Except the traffic if you want to go to Bhiwandi, right? Huh? Or a few other places. You have a problem, but then you open one of Prabhupada's books and Prabhupada gives you the solution right there in the purport. Has this ever happened to you? Every time, right? We read Prabhupada's books. He's giving us what we needed to hear right there in his Bhaktivedanta purports. Because he is the spiritual master of the galaxy. So, we're very fortunate that we're allowed to take part in the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The most asked questions that I get when I give class is, Prabhuji, how can I read more or chant better rounds, or how can I be more focused? Have you heard these questions before? And my reply is always the same. You got the potential, but you're distracted. You have so many priorities, so many things on your mind. Does any of this resonate with you? Yeah? Like I published this book, as it was mentioned, and I distributed 1,000 of them in Vrindavan to devotees. Have you ever tried to sell something to devotees? They're a tough crowd. I can guarantee you that. He knows. So, and they have all the excuses. They have all the good answers. They say, I have so many books, and I haven't read them yet. How many of you have read all of Prabhupada's books? How many of you have read all of Prabhupada's books? Houston, we have a problem here. Huh? So, and I tell them, I'm reading Prabhupada's books, all of Prabhupada's, the main books, once a year. Every year, I read all the main books. How do you do it? Does Arjuna have a problem with discipline? Does Arjuna have a problem with diet? Does Arjuna have a problem with focus or priority? No. Why not? Because Arjuna has a mission. What is your mission? What is my mission? Is it breakfast and lunch and no dinner? What is my mission? So, the Acharyas, they encourage us, they urge us to find our mission in the vision of Srila Prabhupada. And it's abroad, it's a big mission. We need writers, we need publishers, we need editors, we need cooks, we need graphic designers, we need finance people, we need managers, we need everybody. Because it's a big mission, it's a big task. So, this is the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To find our mission in the vision of Srila Prabhupada will give us the focus, the clarity, and the empowerment that we require to succeed. Now you may wonder, how are we going to do 5 lakh of Gitas this year? Last year was 6.5. And I heard it was a little crazy, right? Because Maharaj was calling everybody every day, making sure that the troops were on the move. So how are we going to do it this year? Well, whatever works, don't change it, okay? Just keep going. If it works, don't change it. Like yesterday, I went to the airport, and I just carried a bag full of books. And I just went up to people, and I smiled at them, and I said, Hare Krishna, are you here for business or are you here for darshan? And either way, I said, that's wonderful, you're qualified, this is for you. And I handed them a book. And we had some nice discussions. I met wonderful people. Some of you are preachers, you go and you give talks and you give seminars. You can put a book table next to you and have the Bhagavatam there. And then you just ask afterwards, who would like to get a Bhagavatam? In Ukraine, 15 sets went out. They have a war, they don't have money. 15 sets went out. Georgetown, Guyana, 28 sets. Philadelphia, 21 sets. And that's just little me asking the obvious question, do you have the set? Would you like to have a set? It's not so difficult. So, of course, there is a lot of inner processing. We have to let go of some of our mental creations. Like Brahma, he had to let go of some of his mental creations. It's like a mini dissolution, like a mini destruction that happens. But that can be quite purifying. That can be quite a relief when we get over our own false ego. So the dissolution of our false ego will take place when we take shelter of this Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Would you like that to happen? Is that something desirable? Or would you like to reinforce our pratishta, our abhiman, our false sense of perception? If I think that I'm a teacher, that I'm an engineer, or I'm a publisher, or I'm an editor, or an author, or I'm a something, a somebody, then I have to suffer and enjoy whatever is tied up with that upadi, with that packaging. And it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. Everybody has their 5 minutes of fame. Have you noticed that every jiva gets their 5 minutes of fame? I got mine quite early, so early that I didn't even notice that it happened, because it didn't matter, because we were on a mission. And later on people were saying, oh, you won a prize, you know, we give you a medal or something. And you're like, so what? You know, what does it mean? So Krishna has his way of making us more detached, of bringing us closer to him. And that's why it is a wonderful opportunity to find our mission in the vision of Srila Prabhupada. And this marathon that is starting, when is it starting? Day after tomorrow is a good opportunity. Did you ever run a marathon? No? Anyone? Any sports people here? Just engineers. The most of us can run a marathon. It just takes a little preparation. You just have to warm up. You have to stretch a little. You see the people sometimes on the Marine Drive? They're doing their stretches. They're doing their walking. So if we get into the habit, it's much easier to stay in shape than to get in shape. Have you noticed? Once you're out of shape, it's hard, right, to come back to your normal self. At least to be pain-free. It's difficult. But to stay in shape is quite easy. So Bhakti Sibhushan is high sadhana, because as soon as you go out and you face the public, then what happens is your spiritual practice is being tested. People will look at you and they will want to see, okay, so if I'm going to read this book, I'm going to become like you, right? Have you noticed sometimes? They look at you quite closely. They look at the book, they look at you, they look at the book, they look at you. And if the two don't match, it's no-go. So it's a bit of a reality check, which is actually quite good. Yet Krishna is so kind that he gives us unlimited opportunities. I mean, here people are coming by the thousands, and all you have to do is you have to be there and smile at people. And they will ask you, you know, cash or check or UPI. But in other cultures, it's not so easy, because if you're talking to people who are from a different background, from a different mentality, from a different mindset, how do you communicate the message to them? Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote novels, he wrote poetry, he published songs under pseudonyms of other groups and traditions, just to infiltrate, just to, you know, make sure the message percolates and gets into those habitats. So we can get inspired by these different examples that we have from our acharyas, how to communicate a message outside of our own comfort zone. Because in comfort zone, there is no growth. If you want to grow in your Krishna consciousness, you have to get into stretch zone. Do you feel stretched? Or do you feel comfortable? That's the question. When somebody asks you, have you read all the books? Do you feel a little stretch inside? Oh yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should. It's a good idea. Now how to do it? You just get up early. I know you're busy here. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of commuting. There's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of pressure. How do you manage to read? Just like Prabhupada managed to write. Was he busy? He was busy, very busy. All day long, managing a spiritual organization. We have a bunch of kids, a bunch of youngsters. But he took time out in the night. That's when he did his writing. So you want to have quality reading? You get up earlier than usual. And you read before you switch on your phone, before you hit the traffic. And then you want to accelerate your experience. You start sharing Krishna consciousness with others. The fastest way to learn anything is by teaching it. People will start asking you questions. What are the 10 different types of creations of Brahma? What are the 3 different types of dissolution? How does it all work? You have to do your research. You have to go a little deeper in the text. So I'm very glad to be here. It's always a joy. And at the same time, I always feel like I'm in stretch zone when I'm here, because everyone's my senior. So I'm really grateful for the devotees to keep this oasis vibrant and open and accessible for everyone, including myself. And I wrote this book because this book could have been written by any Sankirtan devotee, by anybody who went out and distributes Prabhupada's books and shares the message. But I know most of them are too humble to write and to publish. So on your behalf, I published the book. The BBT published it. They own the copyrights. And it is 3 things. It is what happened to a 15-year-old that got a book by Srila Prabhupada, what he experienced the next 40 years, and the things he learned, things that went right and things that went wrong. And also, it is a manual for activists. If someone would read this book, they could actually restart the Sankirtan movement. They could actually start from scratch. And third and last, it's a companion, it's a friend for those who are already engaged in spreading the Sankirtan movement. Some inspiration, some solace, because when you see someone who is struggling, can you resonate with that? You can, right? Because we appreciate struggle, right? To me, Prabhupada, who was walking the streets of New York with no money, no connections, practically no friends, that's the Prabhupada I worship. Because I can resonate, I can relate to struggle. It's sometimes a little hard to resonate with perfection, because perfection is quite high. We can appreciate it, but at one point we may realize I might not be there quite yet. So these are some reflection on today's verse and on that little venture of self-purification that I undertook. Any questions, comments, or reflection? Yes, we will hand out a few books and some prasadam. Do we have a microphone? Now I can tell you Sankirtan stories till the cows come home, but I haven't seen too many cows here in this part of Mumbai. So,
as you said, Prabhuji, that you are from Ukraine. So Ukraine is such a Ukraine is a war-torn country. In such a war-torn situation, I wonder how devotees preach.
I'm from Switzerland, but I visited Ukraine recently. Thank you for asking. The devotees, they just stick to Prabhupada's formula. They just stick with what Prabhupada has given. Harinam, Prasad distribution, book distribution, sharing Krishna consciousness, counseling. A lot of devotees have left the country. Whoever could get out, they left. But many could not, so they stayed back. But even though so many devotees have left, the temples are full, packed. packed out. I was in Radhastami in Kiev. It's a big temple room, about 1.5 times the size of this temple room. And it was packed out, chock-a-block, with people. So even though so many have left, so many new people are coming, so many guests are coming, so many people are appreciating the efforts of the devotees. So when there's crisis, we can see it as a tragedy or as an opportunity. So war is definitely a terrible thing, and it is very disruptive and very destructive. At the same time, we can see that a lot of people are becoming very serious about looking for answers and getting help and finding their path. Other questions? Or comments or reflections?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Just like many a times when we approach someone who is Mahajan in some field, we get inspired in that particular field where he is Mahajan. Similarly, you are one of the Mahajans in book distribution. So as soon as we come and sit in front of you, we also get inspired to at least do our bit. So Prabhuji, can you just highlight or something in your 30 years or more than that, 30 years of experience of book distribution, some like DNA or some such point,
Sutras.
some sutras
Okay.
which will be helpful to each
Thank
and
you.
everyone who is listening online as well as who is here.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, in the last 4 decades, what are my realizations? First of all, the more I try to help others, the more Krishna helps me. If I try to worry about myself and figure out my own situation, things go sideways. But the more I try to help others, the more Krishna helps me in mysterious ways. Also, that Krishna's plan is going to pass. It's going to happen. As we can see here, creation, maintenance, dissolution, this is a cyclical, is a current affair as we speak. And I can either fight it or I can appreciate it and work with it. Sometimes we're too rigid, we're too stuck on old ideas and the old ways, and we're not willing to broaden our horizon. So Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to a temple president and he said, you have to be very strict. And the next sentence he said, and very liberal. Which seems like an oxymoron, it seems like opposites, right? But it's not. Tradition and innovation, they go hand in hand. And our acharyas have shown us, our mahajans have shown us how you can be innovative, at the same time adhering to tradition and being deep-rooted and well established in tradition. By communicating the message in an attractive and relevant way. I meet so many people here in India now because, not just because there's a lot of people, but so many people that are trying to be more Western than the Westerners. Have you noticed? People are dressing very loud and they're talking very loud and they're using adjectives and all of that. And if you try to talk about Dharma or, Sanskriti and values, they will just dismiss it wholesale. Have you had experience like that? So then you have to meet them just eye to eye. You have to meet them on their level. Like here, Vidura and Maitreya. Why are they talking about all these so-called, mundane things? Because they understand the general public. And also they want people to appreciate the Lord in His different forms, including His creation, maintenance, and dissolution. So another sutra is know your audience. Like here I know I'm totally out of place and, everyone's like in a different stratosphere. So I just come to, tell a few stories. I used to serve breakfast, but now that hall is gone. So what can I do? But I brought, a little maha. So we have to know our audience, and we have to also know our place. That's called sambandha. Without sambandha, there is no abhideya, and there is not much of prayojana. So who am I? And what is my contribution? What can I add to this situation? I travel a bit, and oftentimes I noticed that people need someone to talk to. They want to be heard. Like first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna allows Arjuna to download, right? Arjuna just puts it all out. Have you read Bhagavad Gita? First chapter? Arjuna, he gets confused. You know Arjuna? You heard of Arjuna, right? He had a problem that he was supposed to fight his teachers, his family members, his friends. That's not easy, right? These are all people that you love, that you respect, that are very dear to you. So he had a dilemma. He had a moral dilemma. And so what is he doing? He's communicating his dilemma to his best friend, Krishna, who happens to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to be available for the people to hear their little dilemma. I know you all mentoring dozens or hundreds or countless people. Do you ever have that situation where people want to download on you and they want to give you a little bit of, not just a piece of their mind, but more like the whole cake, you know? You ever had that experience? Yeah? Okay. So you have to be able to take it. You have to be able to hear them out. Because if you just dismiss it wholesale and just say, take the book, or, you know, this is the solution. Do you like it when people just hand you the solution and say, you have to do this? No, right? You don't like it. But if they help you to come to your own conclusions, they're happy to be inspired. They're happy to be guided. But they don't want to be converted. They don't want to be proven wrong. Not on the first note, you know. So we have to find joy in our own bhajan, in our own spiritual practice, and be happy to be part of Krishna's plan. Be happy to be part of his program, rather than trying to impose our own program on others. Because people are sensitive. Now, of course, everyone's sensitive in a different part of their body and in a different part of their psyche, but everyone is sensitive. Sometimes you say one wrong word, or you look the wrong way, and the person's like, immediately they dismiss you. Have you noticed? Amala jala jala jivana talamala. It's like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. So it really forces us to be stita dir muni, to be in the zone, to be grounded, to be deep in our bhajan. Because if you get irritated, like Jat Bharat, he got attacked by Maharaj Rahugana, and he was hurt. So he had to first settle and calm down. Then he could convey the message. So, Hare Krishna, please get your Bhagavad Gita on the way out. Haribol, students, get your book, okay? Get your own Gita, all right? It's the user's manual for the galaxy. And now so many people say, I have Gita, I heard of it, I read some of it. But what's the proof that you have actually understood Bhagavad Gita? Now, there are so many editions of the Gita, over 400 were present when Prabhupada wrote his commentary, yet there was not one devotee of Krishna. And now any country in the world, there's so many devotees because of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So in case you were wondering, why should we distribute 5 lakh Gitas? There's already enough Gitas out there, right? Gorakhpur, this one, that one, the other one. Why should we also do this? Because that's where the potency is. That's where the lifeline is. And as we disconnect so we can reconnect, how hard is it to disconnect? Have you ever felt disconnected? Or is it just me? But in the same way as we can disconnect, we can also reconnect. So what has worked before still works now. It's not all gone and finished. So these are a few reflections. Build teams, invest into teams, because team wins, team does more. You need good friends who you can share your heart with. Otherwise, you burn out. You feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing so much stuff, but for what? No one there to appreciate it. What's the fun? Like Arjuna said, I may win the war, but there's no one to appreciate. There's no one to celebrate with. Everyone's going to be dead. So what's the point? Why all this? Why all this? Huh? So these are some reflections. And also we need service, you see. There's few people who can do deity seva. There's few people who can do, few people who can give the class or do this or do that. But one seva that is always available is book discipleship. You noticed? Because it's a little difficult. It's a little hard. But you can do it in many different ways. You can go person to person. You can go and put a book table. You can go on a chanting party. You can get sponsorships. You can sell sets. You can do value content. You can do so many things. Unlimited opportunity. Huh? And it requires me to get out of comfort zone. And that is a good thing, because there's no growth in comfort zone. And if you wondered, why have I not progressed? Why have I not really gotten closer to my goal of prema pumarta mohan, of pure love of Krishna? It's most likely because I'm stuck in comfort zone. I like things to be goody, goody, goody. Do you like things to be comfortable? Yes, we all do. Because no one likes change except a wet baby. I know this is not a place for jokes, but never lose your humor. Because when people see the sadhu is serious and is very stern, very often people have a hard time to resonate with serious and stern people. Because nowadays it's all dopamine, it's all instant gratification. Have you noticed? It has to look good, it has to smell good, it has to sound good, it has to be attractive. So if they see somebody who is angry or who is speaking very harshly, they cannot appreciate. So sweet speech, mukhya prasad, anudvega karam vakyam, satyam priyam hitam chayat. And yes, sometimes you can also, after you have paid that price of building that rapport, then you can also say a couple of words of correction or of suggestion. But if you do that right in the beginning, often it bounces right back in your face. Have you noticed? Sometimes you tell people, oh, I'm a vegetarian or I do meditation, and they say, good for you, but not for me. Huh? Have you noticed? Huh? So we cannot generalize, and every jiva has its own path, its own trajectory, if I accept that. And I just try to be his friend. Are people looking for friends? Do you have any friends? Yeah? Yeah, right? Because that's what life is all about, right? I'm here because I got some friends here, where I feel like, yeah, wow, okay, I don't be like them. I need to grow. I need to grow up. I need to, let go of my mental, imagery. So, people are looking for friends. If you can be their friend, you'll have a lot of service. So much so that you have to start, building teams and delegate and outsource and simplify your own life, because you can't interact more with more people than 150 productively. Sociologists have proven. I mean, Jesus had 12 disciples. They were not all that great. So don't try to boil the ocean. Just find the few people that are willing to hear. And that's my last two sutras. Pick the ripe fruits and never get discouraged. Never get discouraged. Prabhupada was never discouraged. He just kept going. He fought so hard. Like Juhu, he fought so hard. I went to Udupi and I flew to Mangalore. And in Mangalore airport, I was walking around distributing books. And I met a middle-aged man. And when he saw me, and when he saw the book, he started manifesting asura bhav, the ecstatic symptoms of a demon. Huh? And he said, "You have stolen the property of my granddad." He was Mr. N, Mr. Nair's grandson. So I met him in Mangalore airport. He said, "You should give back that property. You stole that property from us." And he was raving and foaming at the mouth. And I felt so blissful. Why? Because I had a little bit of glimpse, a little bit of taste of what did Prabhupada have to face to deal with his grandfather, the struggle that he went through. But Prabhupada said, after Mr. N passed away, he said, it was a good fight. Huh? So, Krishna is giving us so much opportunity. Thank you for your kind attention. So we got 10 minutes. If you'd like to get a book, I've paid the pre-press so that we can actually let them go for printing cost, which is 150 rupees. Now the MRP, if you buy it online on Amazon or on Flipkart, it is available. It's 250, but we're gonna let them go for 150 here. And yeah, if you want a copy, they're available. We'll sign them for you. Thank you very much. Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. And I wish you a great marathon. I know Baladev is going to have a meeting. He's already meditating on how it's going to happen. Do I have somebody who can help me? And there's Balaji Prasad here, and also Prasad from the deities in Bhiwandi, if somebody can distribute this. Do you know these ladus? Have you seen these ladus before? Yes, there's only one place. Balaji. Govinda, 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 Govinda. So.
Now, Rudranath will distribute the Prasadam Balaji, and those who want to meet Prabhu and also access his books can kindly come here. Hare Krishna. So let us thank His Grace Navin Nirad Prabhu by 3 times loudly chanting, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.